Hello everyone, my name is Kaleigh Donoval, and today I'll be talking about the impact of employment on adolescents' education and their well-being. This little graph figure right here is just a prime example of somebody balancing school and work at the same time. So, I first wanted to introduce the topic as the adolescence period is one of the most important stages of our life, as it is the transition from childhood to adulthood. There we go through so many challenges, such as physical, social, etc., that definitely defines us as a person and shapes our future. One specific challenge that I find very important and relatable to talk to is how part-time jobs or full-time jobs can have on our education and our mental health. So during this stage of our lives, it is very common for people to get their first job and learning how to balance it all. Research shows that 54.5% of young people are employed. And with this information, it is important to explore just how much of an impact part-time jobs can have on people. And this little graph right here does show more so how many people are working and go to school at the same time. And it's also important to know that this presentation will really depict both positive and negative impacts on adolescents. Okay, so most importantly, it doesn't just impact one student, and it impacts mostly anybody. So you could be a high achieving student, a low income student, someone who is extracurricular heavy, someone that's very socially active, a student with a learning disability, a career focused student, and someone that has very strong or very minimal parent support. So people from all backgrounds. It doesn't matter how you grew up, it can still affect you to this day. This leads us to this presentation, or this slideshow, excuse me. First I wanted to head into more so like a face value. I will be explaining more on further in this presentation about the positive and negative effects, but more so I want to list pros and cons. For the pros, it definitely helps with work ethic and responsibility. It builds your skills and it helps with your future college and career success. And then for our cons, it increases stress and exhaustion. It has a lot of mental health impacts, and there is definitely a less time for homework, sleep, and social life. Next slide. Now, this is where we get into more of a description on the positive impacts and more in detail. So, when I first mentioned develop work ethic and responsibility, it helps students become more responsible by teaching them how to manage between these tasks and deadlines. It helps them stay accountable, and it also helps them follow schedules and handle workplace expectations, and to help prepare students for future careers, which is always important. Then it also helps build important skills like time management, teamwork, and communication. Juggling work and school forces students to their time management skills, which is definitely beneficial later in life. Communication skills are definitely heightened as well. You have to know how to talk to customers, whether it be, like customer service skills or just like most jobs are customer service, so it really helps communication. And then it also helps with college applications or future job opportunities. Having a job on a resume always shows colleges employers that a student is responsible and capable of multitasking. And also work experiences can help set those students apart. It shows more of like a unique between the students. And I would like to mention that according to the Employment Policies Institute, students who worked part-time in high school saw annual earnings that were 20% higher 6 to 9 years after graduation compared to their peers who didn't work. So knowing this, it definitely has that positive impact on there's more benefits when coming out of high school or college with a job, because you have a chance of having more education and earning more. Next one is our negative impacts. There definitely is an increased stress and exhaustion risk. Trying to keep up with both the work and schoolwork, it's definitely exhausting, takes a lot of your hours, and especially people who have long shifts and late nights or even early mornings can lead to burnout. which in turn makes it harder to focus in class. Then there is definitely less time for homework, sleep, and social life. When I personally, it's very hard for me to balance social life because there's really no time for it. So a packed schedule can make it difficult to complete all the assignments on time, so that definitely affects schoolwork. Sleep is a part of your well-being, and not having managed like 8 hours of good sleep, it leaves them tired and unmotivated for school. And then possible mental health impacts. The pressure of balancing work, school, and personal life, it can lead to stress, anxiety, and depression over time, and that's never a good thing, of course. And these tables on the side I did want to include because it kind of demonstrates how the increasing hour works. So the first one, increasing hour works of working, it does have impacts of the financial pressure definitely goes down because you are getting more money and stuff like that. However, the not having enough time, the academic pressure, personal dynamics, it all has negative impacts, and you can see them increasing of stressors. Same for the one on the bottom as well. Okay, next slide. So I did want to also mention some personal examples, as I feel like including personal examples kind of puts a more connection with the reader. So for positive experiences, I have been working since I was 16 years old, and working near full-time job and being a full-time student, and I think it has definitely increased my determination and work ethic. I am very proud of myself in that. I think I work very hard, especially it was better in high school, but I do still think that I work very hard as well now. And it definitely allows me to overcome challenges, just because I've gained more confidence in myself, especially knowing that I'm working and being able to manage school as well. I feel like I have a lot of perseverance, and it's definitely built my confidence. However, I won't let it dismiss the struggle that I've had. As mentioned, I do have ADHD and anxiety, and so I just got diagnosed with ADHD and anxiety, and it's definitely been a struggle trying to work out the dynamics between both, and definitely having two disorders. It's hard to be in school and be in work and school at the same time. And if I do get too stressed from the overload of both, it makes me shut down, and it makes me stress more in the end. So I have both seen positive and negative effects. And so I didn't want to also just only mention the positive and negative effects. I did want to mention ways on how to, strategies in better balancing both of those. Because, as mentioned, it says mental health matters. And when you are not getting your basic needs of sleep, eating a healthy diet, and stuff like that, it has very serious negative effects on both your physical and mental health. And so some of those strategies are taking an online course. I have moved from taking physical courses in person to online courses, and I definitely think that has helped in the better. It really does depend on your working style. You do need to schedule effectively. I will say scheduling with your advisors and stuff like that is so important. It makes you just on top of everything. As that leads me into my third point, managing your time well. If you're not managing your time well, you're not getting anything done. I have had a hard time managing my time well, as it's very hard for me to balance with my ADHD and stuff like that. So you really need to manage your time. As well, this is very important, communicating with your employer. I have been very grateful to have bosses that are super supportive and super understanding, but you definitely need to communicate with them, because they're not going to know if you don't tell them. You also need to stay organized. I actually am a very perfectionist, so it's not hard for me to stay organized, but it can get stressful over time when you have so much on your mind that becomes the least of your worries. And these last two are super very important, because if you're not taking care of yourself first, there's no point in doing the other strategies. You need to practice self-care, and you know when it needs to stop. It's literally, you can just take a bath or even just take a 30-minute rest. it's important, and knowing when to stop is also the most important because you need to learn how to take a break. Okay, so some of my final thoughts throughout this whole presentation is you definitely need to find the right balance. It is very key. No matter if it's helpful or harmful balancing work and school, it's just you need to be able to balance that to not negatively affect you in the future. And then I definitely think schools and workplaces can help. We can fix our financial aid policies. We can increase on campus and career related jobs. As I know in high school, I actually had a job that was on campus, and it definitely helped me more now that I don't have that. We can offer more support for working students and recognize that all students have the same financial aid issues and situations. I definitely think we do a good job on that bottom one, but we can always get better. And then just a reminder that having a job can be a learning experience, but knowing from experience, it's always better to put yourself first. And yeah. And these are my APA citations. They are listed alphabetically, and so this presentation all over was the impact how employment can have on an adolescent's well-being and education, whether it being negative or positive. So I hope you have a great day.